Hello and welcome back to another video with It's Dr. Dan, and today we're going to be learning how to name ethers. And we're going to go over both the IUPAC and the common naming systems for how to name the specific functional group. So just as a reminder, what are ethers? So they consist of a functional group that has an oxygen atom that's attached by single bonds to two carbon groups that are both alkyl or aromatics. So essentially, you always kind of see the little O holding hands with these two little R groups on both sides. So it's kind of like swinging between the two. So I like to think of the oxygen as like a little child holding hands with its two parents as it's swinging hands with both parts. So essentially, with this oxygen, just like alcohols as well, it has that bent geometry to it, being that it has those four groups, those two lone pairs. So we're going to go through and learn about how to name them really quick and do a bunch of practice problems. So let's see if we can figure it out together. And thank you so much for watching. Let's go take a look. So the first thing is that it's three simple steps for how to name ethers and the IUPAC naming system, which is the official naming system that we use internationally. So with this system, what you're going to do first is you're going to first name the longest carbon chain. So I have an ether up here that we're going to be naming. So when we're going to go through this, so we got to look at the two branches that are on each side of the ether. So you can see on the left-hand side of this little molecule here that I have two carbons on the left, and on the right, I have a total of four. So what are we going to do? We're going to name the one on the left-hand side here. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, what is that going to be? You're going to have a butane. Okay, so the next step, it says name the oxygen and the smaller alkyl group as an alkoxy group, right? So what does that mean? It's combining the oxy prefix for the ether and whatever the alkane name is. So in this case, right, we're going to kind of do the same thing. We see, okay, we're going to be naming the specific side that's on the left. So it's two carbons, right? So the eth is going to be the portion that's referring to the alkane, and then we're going to end that with oxy. So it's going to be ethoxy is going to be the beginning of the name. So what we're going to now do is we're going to combine both those different pieces. So we'll take our ethoxy, right? We're going to copy that. And then we'll bring in our butane. So what does that make the name now is ethoxy butane, right? So you're kind of naming it just like a normal alkane chain. And you're saying that, hey, I got this little branch that's attached to it essentially. And that's generally the way to really look at it. Now, the final step depends whether or not you have any kind of, let's say if they're not attached exactly at carbon number 1. So maybe you might have like the ether at position 2 or 3 or somewhere as a general branch. So what you're going to do is, in this case, you got to number your longer carbon chain. And what you're going to do is you're going to number it actually starting close to the ether. So being that this one, the longest chain is only the part in green here, so the one on the right, you have to start numbering it starting next to it. So in this situation, what would the official name of this be? It would be 1-ethoxy butane would be the entire name. Now keep in mind, we usually do drop ones whenever it's at the end of a chain, but if you want to be thorough about it and just make sure, hey, I know this really well, I would recommend numbering it. But let's do a bunch of practice problems together. Let's see how you do with them. So as I kind of say all the time with these, if you'd like to, I'd recommend you pause the video as you see the examples. Try to do it on your own. And if you get stuck, then you can take a look at how I explain it. Or if you're like, oh, this is easy, you can fast forward a little bit, go to the next part, right? So that's what all the chapter labels down below are for. All right, let's take a look at the examples. Okay, the very first one. So we're going to go through the same exact tricks. So step 1 was right. We name our longest carbon chain. So in this case, you have 2. So we're going to have ethane. And then we're going to name our alkoxy group. So our oxy portion. So that's this part on the left-hand side, right? So we have 1 that's there. So this is going to be meth and then oxy. And being that as before, we can see that it's at the end of the chain. So it's going to be 1-methoxy ethane. Okay, now for this one, we have some special parts here. So we have the cycloalkane that's here on the left-hand side. So this is going to be a very special part. So generally, these are what's going to be your parent chain for all these different ethers. So this would be cyclobutane. And then for our shorter part, right, we have the two carbons here on the left, and they're also connected to position number 1 as well on our cyclo group. So this is going to be 1-ethoxy cyclobutane. Okay, so that's going to be the entire name. Now, if we go to the next one, same idea here. All right, so we can also name aromatic groups too. So what are we going to name our big ring structure? Well, that's going to be benzene, right? So being that we have the aromatic shape, and then the other portion, right? So naming the alkoxy group, well, for this one, well, how are you going to name it? You have this unique shape here. So this is one of your fancy propyl different shapes, right? So this one will be isopropoxy benzene, right? So you can also combine it with the iso, sec, and tert shapes as well. Okay, now this last one. So once again, we have our longest chain. So we see we have this butane. And just to kind of fill in that last one, right? You could put in the 1 as well, so we can be thorough. And so for this one, right? So we have our butane, and then we have the methyl group, and it's connected to not the 1 position this time, but it's connected to carbon number 2. So this is where you can see where the branches actually do matter. So you can see we have 2-methoxy butane, and that would be the name of our molecule. Let's go through some common naming examples. So when it comes to common naming, the whole idea here is that the way that we picture it is that if we have an ether, it's like we're labeling the 2 branches. So the 2 alkyl and aromatic groups, we're going to put them in alphabetical order, and then we're just going to follow it with the word ether. Now, with this one, it is something that is a very nice naming scheme. It is very simple. So like, for example, if I'm going to kind of do this one, right, we have methyl on the left, we have propyl on the right. So when we write out the entire name, alphabetical M comes before P. So it'd be methyl propyl, and then we're going to end it with the word ether. So in this situation, it would be methyl propyl ether. Now, being that we're treating these both as branches, this thing is not useful all the time. So not everything has a common name. I mean, you can try. You probably can come up with something for every molecule. But really, the only time that we ever use it in chemistry or organic is when you have straight chains, cyclic groups, or maybe even branches, anything that could be named simply. If you start kind of having all these different numbered positions and things like that, it's really not that useful. So it's something that is when you have 2 straight chains, like where I have a propyl, 3 carbons in a row, the methyl, 1 carbon row. Really easy to write it that way. Methyl propyl ether. You don't have to think about it too much. No other ways of doing it, because if we were to go the other way, right, you would have methoxy propane, which is a pretty simple name too. But if you're someone that doesn't really know them a lot, you can just break it down by the 2 different pieces, whether it's common or IUPAC. So let's go through and practice a couple of the common names just to see how we do. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to be kind of counting our 2 sides. So I can see I have 2 carbons on the right, and then I have 3 on the left. So we have a ethyl and a propyl. So ethyl is going to come first alphabetically. So it would be ethyl, propyl, ether. Do our common name. It's not too bad, right? That's a little bit quicker. Okay, so now this one, how do we do this portion? Now keep in mind, even though this is a benzene ring, how do you name benzenes as an alkyl group, right? As an attachment. So with this one, right, that's where the phenyl portion is going to come from, which is like one of the general functional groups that you have as like on like reference material. So we have a phenyl and then a methyl. So it's going to be methyl, phenyl, ether. Okay. So in that case, it just helps you name the 2 portions. And then the last one, well, okay, we do the same thing. We have our 2 branches, which are identical to each other. So if we were to kind of write them, it would look like this first, right? So it'd be ethyl, 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 ether, which sounds a little silly. So what you can do is you can combine them together just like you would do for any branch. So in that case, it would make dibutyl, or not, why did I say dibutyl? Diethyl ether. Okay, so diethyl ether. And that's only because they are the exact same branch. That's the only time you can do that. So you can have like dipropyl, dibutyl, di whatever, but it's when you have two identical branches. So you can see common actually can be pretty useful. Just a kind of like quick review, for the IUPAC naming for each of these two, just to kind of compare. So let's say if we were to look at, let's say the first one. So what would the IUPAC be in this case? Well, you have ethoxy. That's a shorter portion. And then it's going to be ending with propane, right? So you can see it's either ethyl propyl ether or ethoxypropane. Then the next one, right? So what's the smaller chain? So that would be methoxy. And then it's going to be ended with benzene. Okay. And then the last one, okay, this is when like the common name is way nicer. Diethyl ether is really common. It's easy to say. Versus the other one, which would be ethoxy, ethane, right? So you're kind of ending with like the two exact things. So it's not that one is shorter than the other or easier than the other. It's kind of just different situations. It depends on which one you really want to use. Okay. Well, I hope that this video helped a little bit. This is all the examples I have. Good luck studying, and please let me know if you have any questions. And I will see you all later. And this is your first time here, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more chemistry help and more videos to come. All right. Thank you so much. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye now.